Anyway, back to it. I ran out of storage. David pointed out pretty much wherever this neutral line is going, the fact that it's bypassing the thermostat and the on-off switch most likely means it's going to be 120 volts. So let's just say that we walked up to this system here and not producing hot water. We know it's not a mixing issue. We isolated at the 2 valves to confirm that it's not a mixing issue, and I'm not going to get too deep into that because I want to make this simple. But we got to this water heater and we know the water heater is not producing hot water. We don't know anything about the electrical situation yet. All we know is that it's not producing hot water. First step.
Check your power supply to the water heater itself at your switch.
Okay, it's not a bad idea. Depending on where this is placed, I might not pick that, but I would definitely make sure that this switch is on, right? I probably usually work back just for ease, right? So I might come to the element first personally, and I might check that for power, because you know what? If I know that the element's receiving power and it's not heating up, what do we most likely have a candidate for? We got a bad element, right? So working backwards in this case isn't such a bad idea. But making sure this is on and making sure that the breaker is on, good first step. Then move over to, let's go to the element and the thermostat. Just because opening this up and opening this up is usually going to be more complex than what it looks like here. If you know anything about commercial buildings, very rarely do they use a junction box for just a power switch. You know, I'm going to have 4 hot lines in there, 4 neutrals. It's going to be a little bit of a mess when I open it up. It's going to be a little bit of a pain to put back. Might mess something else up. Let's start with the simplistic, approach at first. So right here, we'll open it up, check for power at our element. Boom. Not getting power at our element. Where are we going to go? Going to go to the bottom of the thermostat, then the top of the thermostat. Then check the wire nuts and the connections in here, right? Then we'll come to our switch. Check our switch. Very simple. Just check it for power. And then our breaker panel. If we do have power, everybody knows how to check your element, which I'm not going to get too in depth for because it was not the point of this video. But everybody knows how to check their element, right? How do you check what's the first step in checking my element?
Turn it on.
I mean, that's a good answer, but not the one I'm looking for.
I mean,
turned it to ohms. Now what are you going to do?
we place your leads on both the 1 lead on each one and check for resistance.
You're not going to get a good reading.
You gonna pull it?
I'm not going to pull it. Does nobody know the answer? So has anybody here checked an element?
Yeah, but
You didn't check it right?
I was.
Anybody check one? Has anybody checked one? You need a multimeter. That is a good observation. Not what I'm looking for. Go remove the wires, guys. You're going to remove the wires, right? And I know most of us probably know this, hopefully, and we're just not saying it. We're going to remove the wires. Going to remove the wires and then check your resistance on your element. And most likely on a 120 volt heater, what are you looking for?
9.6.
Say like around 9 to 12, 9 to 11, somewhere around that range. There is a formula in a later video that I'll go over where you can get the amount of ohms that you actually want to see out of any element based off of the info plate of the water heater. I'm not going over that now, as I stated before. I'm making this simple. True purpose of this video is I've seen a lot of people, and I just had a job where we wasted a bunch of money buying the wrong water heater, and it's because the guy did not know how to tell what voltage the heater was. Okay? How do you normally check power? You roll up to a control panel, you roll up to, whatever your most basic thing is. Where are you going to put you're going to put your multimeter on volts, right? And where are you going to put your 2 test leads?
Neutral? What do you mean?
No.
What do you mean by?
Where are you going to put your 2 test leads? Where were you taught in class, for most of you guys who've been through class, where were you taught to put your 2 test leads? screws. That's a good answer, but it's not the one I'm looking for.
Or on the wire.
All right, so normally you're going to take one, you're going to put it on your ground lug, right? You're going to put one on your ground, and then you're going to put one on whatever wire you're testing, right? And that's going to give you, if you're at 120 and you're on the hot leg, you're going to get what?
120.
You're going to get 120 volts. That's correct. You're going to have 120 volts there. If you're at 240 and you have one on the ground and one on one of the hots, what are you going to get?
240.
No.
Well,
You're going to get 120 because you're getting one leg of 240. If you're at 208 volts, what are you going to get?
104.
Ground. And just to let you know, there's 208s coming into this building right here. Okay? What are you going to get? Because what does my outlet run?
120, right? 120.
And what's my outlet doing at the breaker box? You're going to get 120 volts. Like I said, I'm not going to get too complicated. You're going to get 120 volts, 240, or 208. In the particular instance that I'm talking about, the technician was working on a 208 volt heater, tested power by going to ground and hot, like he was taught. And now in his defense, the wires were coded for 120 volts, and the old heater was 120 volts. It said 120 on it in his defense, but it wasn't working. And why wasn't it working? It wasn't working because it was hooked to a 208 volt line that was just happened to have a black and white wire coming out of the wall. So, everything in his eyes led him to think this is just a basic 120 volt heater. So he bought, there was 3 of them, he bought 620 volt heaters because he burnt the first 3 and then tried to replace them again without even calling me. We spent $1,500 on heaters that weren't even the right heater that I couldn't even get a warranty on. Okay? That's insane. And I cannot let that happen again. So, how am I going to tell it's 208 volts? What's the easiest way if I'm just using my multimeter? Because there's a bunch of ways I could tell you about, and there's a bunch of ways you could do. How am I going to tell it's a 208 volt heater?
You just look at the panel.
Now, all right, let's just say, right, this is no longer 120 volts, right? It's no longer 120 volts, and this is now, it's now 208. I'm not sure if that drawing is 100% accurate. How am I going to check it? It's very simple, right? Your power in on your thermostat, you can use, or on your switch, or wherever you want to go. Boom, right here, across the 2 leads. Okay. This is going to tell you. I'm leaving 3-phase out of this because 3-phase we're usually all able to tell this looks crazy. This ain't basic 120 volt or whatever, and that puts in our brain we need to dive deeper, right? When it's 3-phase. You usually got contactors, you got 5 or 6 elements a lot of the times, you got a bunch of stuff going on in the 3-phase heater or 3-phase system. So right here, boom, right here, black to red, your 2 hot lines together. And that works on a lot of different voltages. I'm not gonna get too complex like I said. I worked as an electrical technician for a while. I know a little bit. Your 2 lines crossed. Very simple. 2 hot lines. Okay? Now, let's just say I'm reading 212 volts, right? What do I got? What power am I running?
208.
Probably running 208. Let's say I'm reading 231. Probably 240. Okay? So, pretty simple. I see a lot of people mess it up. Just know that, when you're looking at these things, you're always double checking everything because you're going to run into big problems. You're not going to be able to figure it out. You're going to get stressed out. This is not an easy job. There's a lot of different things we do, just communicating, paperwork, yada, yada, yada. the more stress you could cut out of your life, the better, right? Everybody follow me really quick. Another way you can tell very simply for all of your, how do I flip this camera? Either way. Right here. Everybody come look at it. Right? Well, this is backwards.